Okay. Going to get started here in a minute. No audio? You can't hear me? Melissa, confirm for me. Oh, if you can't hear me, you can't hear me. Say, Melissa. Can you hear me? Okay. One sec. Oh, that's why. How about now? Can you hear me? Okay, cool. Testing, testing. Okay. Good morning and afternoon. Should we jump into it? Welcome. Yeah, let's just do it. Like immediately, just jumping in. This is Holding Space for Love to Be Seen. And we are on episode 39. We seem to be on a bit of a roll doing 2 of these a week. 2 on Tuesday. However, I did just send notification to the person who schedules these for me that we're just going to start doing 1 a week. The 2 episodes a week is just too much content to manage, and there's other things we should be doing rather than scrambling around trying to cut up and deliver all this content. But so yeah, we'll do two today, and then we'll try 1 a week on Tuesday and see how that goes. But anyway, it's kind of irrelevant to this show right now. Welcome. My name is Tiger, and I'm just doing what I do, which is sharing what I see from my direct experience, having a little self-dialogue in this program, and you get to listen in. And if you find some value, if you find some resonance, fantastic. But I was just reminded again, once again today, how easy it is to misunderstand what I'm saying. I had posted something and someone wrote a long comment and just clearly not understanding what I'm saying or where I'm coming from. And it's adorably tragic, but understandable. And it's really quite fascinating, right? You post something and 90% of people just like, oh my God, that's so true. Yay, that's beautiful, profound. And then there's 1 or 2 people see something else entirely. But that's part of the play. On this program, we're going to follow a bit of a format which is to wrap up this introduction happening now. Then we're going to relax and rest for 2 minutes, where I'm just going to not say anything and allow myself to settle in, get calm, cool, and collected. And then from that stillness, I'm going to share on the topic today, which is imaginary bullshit holding you back. Again, talking to myself. And then after I run my mouth for about 30 minutes, there's some room for questions and reflections. For those people listening during the live broadcast, they can type in their comments any questions, and I can share what I see, leaving you free to see what you see. And then we'll end with a super short and sweet guided meditation, about 5 to 8 minutes long, so that you can continue on in your day in the spirit of love and play. But that sounds complete for the intro. I think we're ready to start the 2 minutes of stillness. So let's do that. Okay. I was feeling a little bit nervous about going in today's topic shortly before I jumped on here. And I'm so glad that we have the opportunity to do that 2 minutes of stillness, because it allows me to just forget about the whole plan, forget about whatever I think I'm supposed to talk about. And I had the opportunity to just connect with something that was just really sincere, beyond the title, beyond any expectations. And I'm going to speak from that place. The title, Imaginary Bullshit Holding You Back. And, that can be a playful title for you. It can be an offensive title. It doesn't really matter. It can be whatever you see it as. But the energy that it comes from is a very deep and beautiful compassion that really invites you to be radically honest with yourself about what you think the hang up is, what you think the problem is, what you think are all the excuses about why you cannot be you, why you cannot shine your light, why you cannot be honest and sincere And so this is for that one that experiences the very human reality where there is a sincerity within that wants to sing, dance, and play in this life. A sincerity within that wants to embrace being human and go on a great adventure. And yet at the same time can deeply acknowledge that, holy shit, all of these excuses that I have, all of these reasons, and a lot of this mental commentary is just imaginary bullshit. They are excuses that I create that help me hide. They're excuses I create that help me avoid the appearance of failure. They're excuses that I create that help me protect my precious ego that is so concerned about what other people will think. And so for the one that's willing to acknowledge that and look in this direction, then maybe there'll be some value here for you. Can we first acknowledge that sincerity that would really like to embrace life? The sincerity that sees a bit of a playground on planet Earth, where we are here as humans, and if you go out and you look at nature and you really see it, I mean, not just your commentary about it, not your stories, but you see what has been gifted to us. Like, oh my God, what is this place? This is amazing. And then not only is there this place, but then there's what I am in this place and part of this place, where the beauty that I see in nature in all of its different shapes, sizes, and colors and motions and all of that, I'm also this. There's a passionate aliveness in nature, and that same passionate aliveness is in what I am. I'm a part of it. And apparently there's this temporary opportunity to be here. And I do mean temporary. Regardless of what age you are now, tomorrow isn't promised to anyone. A year from now isn't. 10 years. It's like, and it doesn't matter what age you are. The life you have is now. This gift you've been given is now. The miracle is happening now. And it's temporary. And yet, before the end of this life, there is the reality of this magic. There is this reality of being alive. And I just refuse to believe that there isn't some beautiful aliveness within you that wants to be seen, felt, and shared. I refuse to believe that you're not here on purpose. And what I mean by on purpose is that you're here for a profound discovery, a profound connection with love, compassion, and freedom. And then part of that adventure is sharing all of that. And my goodness, look at the contrast. Look at the contrast in the hypnosis that we've been conditioned into. the hypnosis that you have to play these silly games that everyone else is playing. This hypnosis that you have to do things that you don't really want to do in order to survive. This hypnosis that anxiety and depression are like real things and just a part of being alive. As if you were to go out into nature and see life in its natural habitat, you would find these states of dis-ease. No, thank you. As far as I'm concerned, it's all a hypnosis that has divorced ourselves from the reality of ourselves in many different ways. And when we get out of alignment with the sincerity of our own aliveness, when we become divorced from our genuine purpose, it's almost like something within is like, well, why even be alive then? Why even be healthy? Why even take care of myself? And yet, likewise, when you're on purpose, when you have, let's just say, something to do that's inspiring, that's important to you, that's beautiful to you, it makes perfect sense to take care of yourself so that that can continue on in an abundant and beautiful way. And when I look at nature, like in its pure form, I just see abundance. I just see a playground. And I so know that space of being disconnected from it, feeling like I have to play somebody else's game or live somebody else's life. And that feeds right into the imaginary bullshit that holds us back. And so easy it is to blame that bullshit on other people, to blame it on society, to blame it on the government, to blame it on this, that, and the other, where we say, oh, if only it wasn't like this, then I could let my heart shine. Then I could sing, dance, and play. Or even if looking at yourself and say, oh, if only I wasn't like this, then I could really play. Right? If only this didn't happen, then I could love myself. How many statements are there like this? I mean, let's just get real. How many excuses are there like this? Rather than spending this time listing out the 10,000 excuses, can you see that they're all just the same excuse? If only, if only, if only. Blame projected. And every one of these excuses are simply a way of trying to keep yourself safe. And not safe in any real way, but safe in the way of protecting your ego. Protecting what other people think about you, which is trying to control how other people think about you. Rejecting the sincerity of your aliveness, your own passion, your own genuine interest, so that you can gain the approval of the world. It's like, okay, I'm not going to be myself. I'm not going to go on some great adventure. I'm not going to be alive because of the thoughts in somebody else's mind. Come on. And I invite you to just look at that. Like, stop fooling yourself. Stop lying to yourself that it's about anything other than that. It's like the example of somebody who gives me 1,000 reasons why they can't do what they're here to do, which is what sets their heart on fire. And in their thousands of reasons of why they can't do it, they completely ignore the 5 things they could do right now. They're so concerned about figuring out what the 17th step is, that they don't take the first step. They say, I want to make sure I know how it's going to end up. I want to make sure that I won't look stupid. What are you protecting? Do you think that this life is supposed to just go how you think it's supposed to go? Do you think it's supposed to end up in a way where everyone likes you? Everyone thinks you're doing a good job? Or no one judges you? No one criticizes you? Is that what it's supposed to be? And so you avoid all of those things by staying safe? By not being you? And just doing what you think other people want you to do? And so what are we going to do? Just wait until we die? Having not really lived? Having not joyfully exhausted ourselves sharing massive amounts of love? After not diving deeply into what excites us, what we're curious about, the discovery that calls to us, the play. And another reason I'm talking about this is because, again, I talk to people all the time, and it's beautifully tragic because they have this genuine interest that says, oh man, I'd really like to do this. I'd really like to share love this way. I'd really like to love on people this way. I really would love to just devote my life to this something that I think is beautiful and important. I wish I could just give everything that I have and just give it to this. And yet we don't, because of the imaginary bullshit that is concerned about something that's impossible. Like what other people will think. Like failure. With these absurd meanings associated with failure, which, what is failure other than just learning? It's so dumb. It's so dumb that we wouldn't willingly fail and simultaneously learn. It's so silly that we would want it to go how we think it's supposed to go, rather than just going on the exploration. We've spent so much time in our human life building up this character that's trying to stay safe, as if safe is something that's real. And it's not even a practical human life safety. It's a psychological safety. It's an emotional safety. It's an ego safety. It's like, I don't want to be disturbed. Which is like saying, I don't want to grow. I don't want to fail, which is like saying, I don't want to learn. And again, and if you ask why, what does it come back to for you? And really look. As far as I'm concerned, and again, talking to myself, and this is just for me, as far as I'm concerned, this life that I'm living doesn't belong to me. Like, it's not about me. It's not about this character that I think I am. This life is about a sacred honoring of life. And part of that honoring is getting profoundly honest about the life inside of what I am that wants to be alive. In such a way where I can discover beautiful insights for me that expose profound love, compassion, and freedom. And then there's that ego part that says, I don't know if I want to share this, even though it's beautiful. What will people think? Right? So I'm just going to keep it to myself and not share it. Or worse, I'm only going to share it with people who give me something. I'm going to use it to support my imaginary self-importance as if it's about me, rather than just loving on everything and everyone and letting what comes back come back. To exhaust myself in the most joyful and playful way. Just saying, look at this beauty. Or, look, I love you, and I'm sorry you're hurting. And to hold the space. Who am I to stand in the way of the sincerity that wants to bloom? Another illustration of this is like, within you is this child that simply wants to play. Simply wants to play, wants to explore. What is this? Oh, wow, that's amazing. What happens if I do this? Oh, wow, that's cool. Uh-oh, that hurt. Probably won't do that again. Oh, never mind. It was a confusion. It doesn't really hurt. Wow, there's so much love there. What a big world. This child wants to play. And then what do you say? Excuse me, child, you're making me look dumb. Stop playing. And this child simply keeps knocking on the door of your heart saying, can I come out and play now? Are you done pretending to be this serious adult? All the things we take so seriously that simply just are not serious. And again, you have to get honest with yourself about that. Like, where am I making things serious that are not serious at all? And the reason I'm making them serious is to protect my imaginary sense of self-importance. And see if you can see that you're doing that so that you can keep hiding. Like, you're telling these imaginary stories of seriousness that essentially give you permission to not play. And again, you're free. And in no way is this anything about what you should or should not be doing. If anything, I'm just shaking you up a little bit so that you can get more honest with yourself. Because it's in that honesty you're going to discover that the only limitation that exists is the limitation that you imagine to be there. And I know for some people that's tough. I know for some people it really looks like the limitation is out there. And I get that. But again, I'm not going to shut up. I'm just going to invite you to keep being still and discern the difference between what you imagine to be happening and what's really happening. Because when you see what's really happening, there is no limitation in reality. And we could sit here for days arguing about that, but it defeats the purpose because we just be arguing about things in the mind, which is my point. Come back to reality. Come back to the present moment. Get out of this mental dialogue that is so obsessed with its own content, trying to figure things out, and realize there's nothing to figure out. It's like I'm trying to figure out this limitation. There is no limitation. I'm going to spend the next year trying to figure out my plan. Why? So I can keep my ego safe. No, just go. Start playing. Because I can promise you, whatever plan you hash out, it's not going that way. It's not going that way. Sure, it might help you get a bit of focus and point you in the right direction. That's fantastic. But you're stepping into the unknown. And it's going to show itself as the unknown. And that's either going to be exciting, evidence of the adventure, or it's going to be the perfect excuse to crawl back into your hole and say it's not safe. It's not certain, so it's not safe. That's ridiculous. Life itself is predicated on the unknown. Meaning that beyond this moment right now, all is unknown. And you can imagine whatever fantasy of certainty that you want to have and think that that's certainty. It's not. You've got yourself a comfortable idea that you're going to rely on, and sooner or later you're going to find out, shit, it's not what I thought it was. And I'm 100% aware that this is not for everyone. I totally get that. But I wonder if I'm speaking to you. I'm wondering if you hear me. And if you hear me, then this is for you. Because again, in the work that I do, there's so much brilliance in the people that I talk to that do not see their brilliance. And you know what their brilliance is? It's not even so much an intellectual brilliance. It's a heart of brilliance. Whether it's a beautiful empathy, whether it's a courage waiting to be discovered, whether it's the sincerity of passion, for me, that's all deep human intelligence that's divinely connected to the source of life, waiting to guide you, waiting to travel with you. And there's so much innocent and adorable nonsense that understandably they can't see, which is why we work together, so that we can help each other see it. But they just can't see it. They cannot see their own value, therefore they have no value to share. They cannot see their own value, therefore they can't even communicate their value. And the doorway to opening up to that, for now, I'm just going to say, is a radical self-honesty about the limitation that you experience. Can you stop blaming? Can you stop blaming life? Can you stop blaming the past? Can you stop blaming the future? Can you stop blaming other people? Can you stop blaming yourself? And give yourself the chance to see that actually there's nothing in the way. That actually, holy shit, I am free, and I'm just telling myself that I'm not. This touches upon the next live broadcast today. Be courageous to be free. And a lot of us, we're I'm so like joyfully pissed off right now. We play these spiritual games where we use spiritual language to come up with excuses about why we just don't dive into life. It's like whether we're doing our processes, whether we're trying to heal our trauma, whether we're trying to relax, whatever it is, so often it's just excuses. In some way, it's saying, I want to be a certain way first, and then I'll dive in. What are you protecting? Well, if I can be a certain way first, right? Like if I can be totally healed, then I won't fail. Good luck with that. If I could just learn how to be more present in my life, then I can finally follow my heart. Then it will be time. Good luck with that. I've got all this unresolved trauma, and so I'm not the right person to enjoy life. I can't dive in. Because we have this silly idea that if I was to dive in, it's going to look a certain way. No, it's about embracing the whole thing. And you see, a lot of these issues don't get resolved by sitting around thinking about your issues. These issues are resolved by having the courage to dive into life and go on a great adventure. And you figure your shit out along the way. And yeah, it's a crazy ride, but it's an adventure. And your passion, your inspiration, your genuine interest points in the direction of your healing journey. Again, it's not, I'm going to get healed and then I'll go on the journey. No, it's jump in. Look like an idiot. Look like a fool. Fail. Fail forward. Learn. Have fun. Get scared. Lose your shit. And again, I'm watching my mind come up with the excuses that I hear so often. And all of those excuses are just trying to protect something that's imaginary. Again, because it's not about the experiences of life. It's about what you think those experiences mean. Like, for example, what if I can't pay my rent? What if? That would be terrible. Does it mean that? Is that what it means? What if somebody really doesn't like it? So what? What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. You see, it's a blank landscape. It's empty. It's a playground. You get to make it mean whatever you want it to mean. And if you're hiding behind imaginary bullshit, you're going to turn things in to mean a great excuse to keep hiding. Do you hear that? Right? Like you paint a picture and you show it to the world and someone says, well, that's ugly. And then you turn that into a meaning that gives you an excuse to go back to hiding. But does it really mean that? No. And so you're going to spend the rest of your life not painting, even though that's what your heart wants to do? And it's also incredibly relative. It's all so incredibly relative. To the point where all of these labels, they just don't matter. Like success, failure, rich, poor, too much, not enough. It's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. In the way that with what I do, the work that I do, I guess in a very practical and direct way, I'm able to do what I do because I've failed more than you. Very simply. Like if I were to write it out on paper, 90% of the things that I try to make happen don't happen. And 80% of them fail miserably. Which simply means I learned how to do it better. And because I enjoy what I do so much, and it feels like the only thing I'm here to do in this life, I can spend all my time doing it. It's not work. It's purpose. It's passion. It's play. And if you look at any great success story, what is it really? It's a story of failure. It's a story of failure. And then more failure and more failure. And then the point of success is reached. And guess what? Then there's more failure. There's no arrival at this thing called success. There's just constant failure, which is, again, constant learning, which in many ways is also constant disappointment. But what does that mean? Whatever you want it to mean. It can be a reason to keep going, or it can be a reason to stop. But again, the imaginary bullshit says that the reason is out there rather than it's your own creation. And this is part of the discovery that I'm constantly pointing people to see that's been spoken about for thousands of years is it's all one and you are that one. You create everything. It all comes from you. And all of the imaginary bullshit that you think is coming from the outside, you're making up so that you don't have to let your heart shine. So that you don't have to take the risk of letting go of an imaginary security that isn't serving you anyway. There's one thing that matters, and I'm just saying this right now because it's on my mind. There's one thing that matters. See that you're creating it all. When you look at something and you say, that's in the way, says who? Says who? When you look at something and you say, that's bullshit, says who? When you look at something and say, that shouldn't be, says who? Life allows it. You gonna argue with life? Is it really in your way, or is it just not helping you hide? Is it really in your way, or is it just not helping you have control over everything? And so you see it as in the way. What's really going on? I'm trying to hide. I'm looking for excuses to keep hiding. And I'm going to blame it on other people. And then in the process of blaming other people, I can withhold love from them, which temporarily makes me feel important, but starves my soul. Because really, I just want to love everyone. Really, I want to see that no one's in my way. But really, I'm just scared. Well, good, we're making some progress. If we can just admit that we're scared, then we got something to work with, because then we can look at what we're afraid of and see that there's nothing to be afraid of. But if you're so determined to believe that the problem is out there, then you remain powerless. I can't help you. I can't help you if you're so determined that your emotional experience is determined by the outside, because you will forever be a victim to the outside. This is to completely divorce yourself from the power of your own creatorship. And all human beings are creators. It's why you're here, to create in a million different ways. You know why you're not here? Is to get the world to like you. You know why you're not here? Is to make yourself look important. You know why you are here? To play. To go on a great, epic adventure called being human, where nothing is going to go how you think it's going to go, but my God, it's going to be a wild ride. So get honest with yourself. And I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention it again because I think it's paramount. And I think people often miss how paramount it is. Maybe it's not for you, but I know it is for me. And I know there was a time when I didn't think it was paramount, only to discover how wrong I really was. And hear this gently. And again, I'm just talking to myself. Stop poisoning yourself. Stop poisoning yourself. And maybe you can just take that at what it is and find out the ways that you're poisoning yourself. And I'm not talking about poisoning yourself in the way that the world tells you you're poisoning yourself. Because as it relates to a lot of the ways that the world tells you what is healthy or not healthy, it's all bullshit. Last week it's this, next week it's that. We don't really fucking know. you have to pay attention. You have to feel into the sincerity of your human experience and ask yourself, is this supporting the sincerity of my play? Is this helping me focus? Is this helping me be energetic? Is this helping me be clear-minded? Stop poisoning yourself. Which, in one way, it can be said, well, it's hard when you live in a world where everyone else is poisoning themselves. That's more imaginary bullshit, because when you see how important it is, it's not hard at all. It's incredibly easy. Why? Because it's important and you got shit to do. There's love to be shared. You're here on purpose. Let me say this again, speaking to myself on my own direct experience, it was kind of a path that I had to go. When I asked myself, okay, what's really healthy? And then I realized I couldn't trust anything anyone said. And so I was like, okay, what were human beings eating 1,000,000 years ago? What did we evolve eating? What did we grow eating? Okay, give me that. I don't want anything else. Give me that. Give me what we ate for 1,000,000 years, not what we started eating the past thousands of years. And then experienced a profound shift, eliminating all the toxins, eliminating all the processed crap. Give me real fuel. Give me fuel by design, not fuel waiting to be profited from. Because again, this is also incredibly practical and not just intellectual, which is why I'm such a big fan of taking action. Yes, let's clarify these things. Let's see beyond the bullshit, but also let's embody the human experience. Let's move. And part of that movement is not just seeing reality clearly, but it's honoring the physicality. Taking care of it. So that the discovery can play abundantly. Because, again, and this is an opportunity to check in intuitively, and this is what I see from my experience. In the wholeness of all things, and I'm gonna speak using a certain language to illustrate a point, but I'm just illustrating a point, so don't get lost in what I'm saying. When I look at life as if it was something that God created, I see wholeness, I see harmony in all things. Like everything just works together. And in the working of it together, there's a beautiful flow. You know what it reminds me of? If you, let's say if you look at a lion walking through the wilderness, it looks like this beautiful specimen that's just focused, right? It's like it's just on point. It's there. It looks very intentional, right? Like it's very much alive and here to be alive. There's no sickness, there's no disease. It's just there. And then when I look at human beings as a collective, I see a massive removal of this harmony, of being integrated with nature and the way of life. And in the removal of that harmony, and again, to see it in society was first seeing it in myself, like, holy shit, something's way out of alignment. And in being out of alignment, there was incredible disharmony, sickness and disease. And that was only an alarm for me to wake up and say, holy shit, this is not what God's plan was for the nature of what I am to not be full of energy and excited to be alive. And so if you don't have energy, you need to look into that rather than trying to force yourself when you really don't want to. Because again, none of what I'm saying is about forcing yourself to do something. This is about getting back into an alignment where you don't have a choice. It's like, this is happening. Right? It's like there's so much passion, there's so much enthusiasm, there's so much joy that I have to move. Right? There's an energy that's propelling me. This is not, I should. And so I have to force myself to do something that I don't really want to do. No, I'm talking about coming back to the truth of what you are, coming back to your inherent connection with life, and then being part of that dance rather than being divorced from that dance and struggling to survive. And so take that for whatever it is. All right, let's do a short guided meditation, and then we'll get out of here and continue on in this day. Let's go. If you're open for it, this is an opportunity for us to get profoundly honest with ourselves. And so if you're not ready for that, this is not the meditation for you. First, let's allow ourselves to be present. Just recognize this moment is happening. You are here right now. Breathe into this moment. Breathe with an intentionality of coming home. In a very gentle, playful, but honest way, let's discern the difference between the life we think is happening and the life that is here right now. Yes, there's 10,000 things to think about. And yet none of those things are here. What is here? What is real? What is true? As we come back to reality and we find ourselves to be incredibly present, can you recognize the profound emptiness of this moment? The emptiness where all is allowed to be what it is. The sound of a car passing by, allowed to be what it is. Maybe a dog barking, allowed to be what it is. All that is allowed. I invite you to just release any resistance that wants to think that anything that's showing isn't allowed. Release it. In the release of this resistance, it simply invites you to drop deeper and deeper into presence. Now, as we're here in this moment, present and alive, can you be honest about something for me? Within you is a light that wants to shine. Within you is a play that wants to be explored. Within you somewhere is a genuine enthusiasm that wants to go on a great human adventure. Within you, there are things you are genuinely interested in. Within you is an aliveness that simply wants to be alive. Just acknowledge this reality. Can you also acknowledge that you don't allow it? Can you acknowledge that there is something sincere within you that wants to breathe, that wants to play, and you say no? And I want to ask you, your reasons for no, how much of it revolves around fearing what other people will think about you? How much of it revolves around losing the things you cling to that aren't even yours to begin with? How many excuses do you have that only help you hide from the truth of what you are? Hide from your own brilliance. Hide from the miracle of being alive. How many excuses have you collected that attempt to keep you safe from the world's opinion about you? Rejecting the sincerity of your own heart in hopes of getting the world's approval. How's that going, by the way? Maybe you're here to be alive, not to be approved of in the mind of other people. Maybe you're here to play a game that deeply resonates with your own aliveness, rather than playing the fearful game that everyone else wants you to play because they're too afraid to play their own game. What are you doing with this life that you've been given? Maybe it's time to truly be alive. Let's find out. Thanks for meditating with me today. All right, lovelies. That's it for me. I'm going to go take my afternoon walk. Got a little bit of sunshine out here today. Wake up. Wake up. That was a pretty direct one, huh? That was fun. If you're open for it, send me a message about how that touched you. Maybe as like an accountability thing. Send me a message telling me what this woke up in you and what you're going to do. Tell me. Put it down on paper. Send it to me. I want to hear. What are you going to do? You going to sit around and just think about this and hope that it changes one day? No. What are you here to do? What wants to be done through you? What are you standing in the way of that you're ready to get out of the way? And if you have any other questions with that when you send it to me, let me know and maybe I can point you in a direction. All right. Love you guys. Till next time. Oh, next time is in 5 hours. Thanks for your donations. I saw some come in. Oh, we completely missed the questions and reflections section. Whoops, I guess it wasn't supposed to be. All right, you guys. Cheers.